Hey guys, welcome back to my Lady Boss YouTube channel. So today we're going to jump right into the topic of how to not lose yourself in a relationship. And trust me, we have all been there and done that, where either you have been that person where you lost yourself in that relationship and you ditched all your friends, or just kind of started to change yourself and not been the same person as you were prior to that relationship. Also seen it with like friends, other acquaintances, coworkers, roommates, you name it. I have seen it across the board. So that's why I wanted to kind of get that inspiration for this video, and that's why I decided to talk about that one topic of how to not lose yourself within a relationship. So before we do get started, please feel free to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I do post videos every Thursday, and I will link my Instagram handle down below as well too, so you can follow me on social media. So let's go ahead and jump right into this topic. I'm super excited to talk about it, and let's go ahead and get into the rest of the video. My tip number one is to prioritize yourself. So at the beginning of a relationship, you know, you're on cloud nine, you're super lovey-dovey, you want to hang out with that person 24/7, all day, every day. I get it, we've all been there. Just remember, don't lose yourself when you do get into that relationship. Like, don't stop doing things that you used to love to do that brought you happiness. Don't let go of things that you used to do that made you you and who you were prior to that relationship. You should still go ahead and have your own life. And because a lot of times what happens is, say for example, your significant other doesn't really like to go hiking, and that was something that you really truly enjoyed before you got into this relationship. Do not give up going hiking just because your significant other doesn't like it. You know, like a lot of times people don't really know that they're gaining these habits throughout the relationship because all they kind of see is what is within the relationship. They don't really see the outside from like a bird's eye view. So just keep that in mind, only because sometimes like a person doesn't realize it until it's too late in the relationship, and that's kind of what you want to do to catch yourself before you even get to that point. Like, some people kind of start to feel like they've lost themselves, or they're kind of like in a little lull, or they kind of just don't have that spark and that spunk anymore for that relationship, or they notice that they're being too dependent on that person. Maybe take a look at your relationship as a whole and maybe like ask yourself, did I start to give up a lot of things that made you happier, that you enjoyed for this relationship? And don't get hard on yourself or anything like that, because it is a natural thing to do, to give up certain things in your life for the person that you love, or that the person that you're currently dating. But just keep in mind that if you do get to that point, still be so true to yourself, prioritize yourself, still be who you were prior to that relationship. My tip number two is don't isolate yourself. So I know that there's a bunch of people out there who do this. So don't ditch those people, especially your friends, for a new relationship that you got into. I know that a lot of us do fall into those habits, trust me, but it's like you should still be there for your day ones. Like, if they were there for you as a friend prior to that relationship, they should still be your friends to hang out with, to just confide in, or whatever it is throughout that relationship process as well too. Even if you do get into a new relationship, and of course you want to spend all the time in the world with them and just see them day in and day out, just don't forget about those people who were there for you prior. Because, you know, honestly, that can really break and hurt a lot of friendships. You know, like, your friends can get really hurt and feel that you had ditched them, or that, you know, you just kind of used them just for the time being until like you found somebody else to hang out with. You know, that can be very hurtful, and so just really be mindful of that. So what you can either do is you can either bring that relationship into your friendship circle, or really equally just make time for both of those two situations. Literally, if you want to hang out with both of those people separately, hang out with your friends and schedule some time to like make time for them too. And then also make an equal effort to hang out with that new relationship as well. Like, it's all about balance, and you just have to really find what works for you. But definitely don't isolate yourself to just stick and stay in that one relationship, because sometimes what happens, and I see this all the time, is that when you go through breakups or whatever it is, it's like you realize like, oh crap, like what happened to all my friends? Like, they're not here for me anymore. And you never want to put yourself into that predicament. So just remember, if you do get into a new relationship, don't lose yourself in that relationship too much where you do start to ditch your friends. My tip number three is don't try to change your partner. This is a big one, and we all know it, but yet we always try to do it for some reason. But honestly, if there's like red flags in a relationship, just don't date them or don't turn it into anything more than what it needs to be. Like, if you see these red flags, honestly, just keep it simple. Date them for a little bit, maybe just have fun, and then move on and try to, figure something else with somebody else, pretty much. But honestly, like, a lot of us, what happens is that we start getting attracted to another person, and then all of a sudden we want to start to date them and become in a relationship with them, but then we go for the wrong reasons. A lot of people go into relationships to try to change or help another person, and that is something that you want to try to avoid at all costs. Because in order to have a very successful relationship and long-term relationship, you have to have a solid concrete foundation where both two people are individuals that, can lean on each other, help each other, support each other, and all of that, but they don't come into the relationship to try to fix somebody. Another big thing too is that there's always this, I guess you can say, hope, where there's this undenying hope that this person will change, and that's why you got into this relationship or whatever the case may be. But honestly, a great example is that, this person you think and are hoping that they'll just kind of try to get their finances together because they had mentioned something to you like that in the past, or that they were trying to get a way better job or whatever it could be. But it's if it's not aligned with them, and say if they're still constantly told you those things at one point but then are still buy stuff that it's ridiculous. They could be spending money on getting their hair done, getting their eyelashes done, going unnecessary shopping, or even buying that new pair of shoes, whatever it could be, that if they're still having those certain habits and they're financially kind of hurting a little bit, then that's something that they're not ready to make that change, nor should you be able to be there by them to change them to realize it. That's one thing that just doesn't get across to a lot of people, and it's because it's going to put too much strain and stress on you. It's going to make you exhausted. You can't change somebody no matter what, to be honest. That's the big pointer here. But you also can't do something for somebody if they're not willing to change themselves. If they want to go and spend all this money on XYZ or whatever it is, and they can't pay certain adult bills, that's not your problem anymore. That is something that it's going to be on them, and they're just not ready to grow up, pretty much. They're not ready to take on that responsibility, and they're still kind of just having you there to lean on and kind of just give them that little push. But the only way that they're going to ever make a change in their lives is if they do it themselves. You can't be that stepping stone to get there, because like I said, it's going to be way too exhausting. It's going to put a strain on you and really put a strain on that relationship. So I hope that a lot of people can kind of see this, because it will create more damage than any benefits. And don't get me wrong either, there is a difference between, being someone's support system and being there for them and being their inspiration and motivation, versus the other side of the spectrum where you're literally there to kind of just nag at them, and they won't make that change because that is who they are as a person. And that's that. There's two different sides of that spectrum, because I see couples in relationships where they do motivate and push each other because they're both willing to be on that same page and go forward with it. And then there's also that other side of the spectrum where one person is kind of more motivated than the other, and that person is the one to really suffer because they're trying to really make this other person change to see something else that they're not going to be ready to see just yet. And by all means, everybody's happiness is and should mean the world to them, and this is one that will definitely be a huge killer. All right, you guys, so I pretty much summed everything up in 3 tips for you on how to not lose yourself in a relationship. So I hope that you enjoyed these tips. I hope that they were very helpful. I hope that you can really utilize it yourself, or it could be even a wake-up call for you if you're being this person in this situation. Like I said, we've all been there. I've been there as well too. But the fact is that now I am in a long-term relationship where I am super happy. It's probably one of the best relationships that I've ever been in. And the fact that I've been there, so I get it, and I know that if you're struggling through this right now, I hope that this really did help you and you can take something away from it, because if I can do it, I really just hope the best and wish everybody can get to this point like I am here today. So that's why I make these videos, that's why I'm here, and I hope that this helped. But like I said, I'm going to wrap it up, and I do appreciate you so much for watching, and I will see you all in next week's video. Bye, guys.